9:01. I'm already late. I hate being late. Well, welcome everybody to this month's Lakeside Chat. I'm going to do a quick share of my screen to make sure the webinar shows. We see it? Okay. And now I've got one more thing I got to double check because I'm realizing I'm getting the little ping notification and I need to just let people in. So bear with me for a hot second. This is not usually how this goes, so I apologize on the front end.
It's the dreary weather, Erin. Let's blame it on that.
It's something. Setting. Well, I can't figure out how to turn it off, so we're just going to let it roll, and I will just keep letting people in as we go. All right. Well, like I said on the beginning, and I will say it again, if it's not a day that ends in Y, there's not a day, there's a little bit of drama in my life before 10 a.m. I didn't see either of my children this morning, so it doesn't surprise me that the drama is coming from me starting a meeting instead. So welcome everybody to this month's Lakeside Chat. I believe when I last counted, this is number 29 in Lakeside Chat history, which is crazy, exciting, and crazy in general. I'm really excited. I'm going to tell everybody who's here on the front end that this was a little bit of a back by popular demand event. Not because we had done it in a Lakeside Chat, but because we had done a similar panel discussion on the similar topic in our February event that many of you, if you've been on a Lakeside Chat in the past, you were invited to for our solo journey event hosted by Radiate People with Lakeside as a sponsor. And the conversation around beginning and starting a solo journey was really one that we learned that we have a lot of people that are interested in. And I think the idea of what's happening both in our world around us today, as well as the genuine intrigue for what it looks like to be on your own, right? To not work for somebody else is where this conversation will continue and get started. So welcome to Solo Journey and Stories from a Solo Journey. And I'm going to be annoyingly keeping admitting people because I can't figure out how to stop that from happening. So I apologize.
Erin, I can see it too. So I'll admit people if I see it pop up.
Great.
Yep.
I'm going to see if there's something I can do to turn that off. But in the meantime, thank you, Suzanne. I am going to jump right in with rules of engagement so that people understand how this whole thing goes on. And then we'll let you guys introduce yourself. If you haven't been on a Lakeside Chat in the past, a couple things, this is more of my one, consider this like your legal warnings at the end of a pharmacy ad, but also it's a way to sort of set the stage for the conversation that we're going to kick off with. So these are public sessions. So again, anyone can attend them. They are being recorded as well. So I say that on purpose. Brian asked earlier how much swearing he could do. So Brian, as much as you feel comfortable in a recorded session is perfectly fine. Anything that we share on the and follow up, once I get the recording down and uploaded to the website, we'll send everybody who's on the call and everyone that's registered the link to the recording off the website. The PowerPoint, which you will see today, is very light and doesn't offer really any insight onto anything, but if you want it, I will send it to you. As well as what I've learned through the course of these Lakeside Chats is that we consistently get people who are offering insight and reminders or books or articles. And so if those get shared, I will collaborate all of those pieces and make sure that those get sent in the follow-up as well. As you're already seeing, use and engage with the chat feature. I refer to my Lakeside Chats, I think affectionately, as a underproduced event. No scripts, right? You guys can all attest there are no scripting happening here. And I like the idea of letting the audience sort of guide where we go as well. So use the Teams chat, choose chat feature, raise your hand, react, however you feel appropriate, but use as much as you want to engage as we continue to discuss. I want to remind people too that this is the goal of this is positive discussion and leading with genuine curiosity. I think all four of us will attest that none of us are in a foremost authority on almost anything. We are all here as 3 people or 4 people that, one, enjoy each other's company and appreciate each other's point of view. But there are no right answers, and that's all okay. The goal of every Lakeside chat is information sharing and conversation starting. But with that, I want to introduce these lovely other faces you guys are seeing on today's panel. Suzanne, since you kicked off with offering to help me with admitting people as I go along, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself? Again, for those of you that haven't been on a Lakeside chat, I don't believe in reading people's long, awkward bios. I always feel uncomfortable when somebody reads mine, and so I let people read their own or say whatever they want in their own awkward bio instead. Suzanne.
Thank you. That's good, because I'm nothing but awkward. And if you want to read the entire bio, you can find those things online. So I appreciate that you handle introductions that way. I'm Suzanne Murphy. I'm the president and founder of Abeo Consulting Group. I founded my business in 2006 and then again in 2018, which I'm sure a part of that story will come out. I'm in the talent management space, so I do a lot of work around leadership development and coaching.
Love it. Kelli, since you were second to join today, do you want to introduce you and your cute hair?
Thank you. Kelli Schnieder. I'm the founder of Catalyst Advisors, me, myself, and I, and that's the way that I like it on my journey. I'm a fractional COO and integrator, but my background is 20, or actually now it's 30 years in information technology or IT consulting. But I spent 27 years of those in corporate America through consulting. And what I realized is what I love is bringing operational organization to small businesses and founders, which is what I'm doing right now. And currently working at 2 different companies, helping them on their journey along the way.
Love it. Thank you, Kelli. Kelli, when did you get started? When did you start? I don't remember what your year, sort of catalyst year was for getting things rolling.
2024. So coming up on 2 years.
Congrats. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Brian, the swear jar starts.
The swear jar. And I guess my hair's not quite as cute as Kelly's, but we'll just let that go.
It's not.
But my name is Brian Hanley. I'm co-founder of the Alignment Company. My partner and I help businesses who have outgrown how they're run get their people, processes, and planning in alignment. And so we come at things in a very unique way. And my partner's a certified coach and a licensed therapist, and I have about 30 years of operations experience. So we kind of flank your problems from the people and the process side to try and get things shipshape as quick as we can. And we teamed up about a year ago. We were both solo ahead of that. So I think, to borrow a phrase from my co-panelists, we'll talk about that today as why that came to be, but it's definitely a part of my journey as well.
Love it. Well, good. Well, as I want to just kick off with a couple other slides, and then we're going to keep the conversation going. I'm Erin Hargrove, Director of Business Development here at Lakeside HR Group. I've been with Lakeside for 2.5 years. I just officially decided I can say 2.5, I now have to count in half years like you do with children, not in months. As you already saw on the front end of even how we lead these events, our values at Lakeside is that we are genuine, curious, scrappy value adders. And I believe some of those have already shown up here today, especially the scrappiness right out the very gate. So that is what we lead with. And that was my vision when I came onto Lakeside 2.5 years ago. If you sort of do the math with 29 of these and 2.5 years of Lakeside chats, you can see that this was one of my very first initiatives kicking off into my role here. Was I wanted to make sure we were finding ways to really bring interesting conversations and thought leadership in a way that feels more conversational on a regular basis. That was the goal of Lakeside chats, and we're excited that now we are 29 of these and rolling in terms of where we're headed. Other thing that I want to call out, and really, like I said on the front end, is this conversation that we're having today is really a jump off point from a conversation that we'd had in late February. Radiate People is a DBA business off of Lakeside. Lakeside's the founding sponsor of Radiate People. Really, it's a cohort membership-based community for those that have made the decision to be independent and solopreneurs, providing sort of that partnership and camaraderie that sometimes you lack when you're sitting in an office by yourself on a day-to-day basis, so you don't go a little over stir crazy. And now you've got people to sort of bounce those ideas off of. And we hosted our first event at the end of February called the Solo Journey. And the very first panel that we kicked off with was the stories from a solo journey. Because what I've learned as I've now been able to talk and get to know others that have made that really exciting leap into entrepreneurism, well, we'll just go solopreneurism, is that there's a lot of emotion, a lot of decisions, and a lot of opportunity around making that big decision. And so Radiate People supports that initiative, and we're excited to be able to bring this conversation forward. So in the vein of using the let's do raise of hand feature. I don't usually use a raise of hand feature. Usually I'm all chat. We wanted to get a quick gauge of the room. So we've got 36 others that are on with us today. Are you raise of hand, or if you are a fully independent worker? Are you already in the fully independent space? And I want to figure out how I'm going to, it counts for you. This is awesome.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So you've got, oh my goodness, could I do it? 6, 7 people that are on. I could tell me. Thank you, Brian. People that are already or take your hand down. How many of you are curious and fully employed? That's me raising my hand. I know there's more than 2. Okay, good. I'm like, that number should be higher. Perfect. So we're around 11 people, 10, 11 people that are fully employed. And then unraise your hand again. How many of you are I want to sort of trademark the phrase solo curious, people who are curious about what it means to be or to make that solo curious jump. Back at our lovely 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Well, hopefully that's why you're here, is you're curious to learn a little bit more about other solo journeys and where we got started. But with that, me and my lovely friend Chad made this beautiful image around the idea of what I'm envisioning is a solo journey. And it starts off with a big, huge jump off a cliff. And so, Suzanne, when we're sort of coming out of the experience that we'd had at the end of February, I know that you had sort of talked about the idea that many people were coming up to you afterwards being like, help me understand how you got started, or what was the push off the cliff that made that decision for you. And considering you've made that decision to do it twice, I wanted to kick off with you in terms of talking a little bit about that cliff jump moment of making the decision to go from a full-time role to going on your own.
Well, I would say the first time in 2006 was truly a decision that I made in a jump. I had just met my husband. We were engaged. He's very, he's a risk taker. I'm risk averse. And he kept hearing me talk about how I was finishing my master's and I was ready to do something different. And maybe I want to work for myself. I was working for a small consulting firm, about the size of Lakeside, actually, in a different space. And I was doing a lot of business development for them that I thought, well, maybe I could do this on my own. So it was methodical. It was planned. I had a partner that supported me. So the fear around the financial part of the jump was the biggest fear for me. So the timing was right in my life, and I was thoughtful, and I did it. Then I also, as I started my business, I also started my family, and that got really crazy. And I ended up going back in-house and working for Andersen Windows for a decade before I went back out on my own in 2018. And that second jump, that was more of a push, Erin. I knew I wanted to leave. I hit my 10-year anniversary. It was time to go back out. But I took a little side step, and I went to another small firm that I found out was just not the right fit for me. So then it was a push out of there. I'm like, this was the wrong step. And it wasn't a very thoughtful jump. And that time, actually, 2018 was a lot scarier than the 2006. But the same challenges were present. I wanted to make sure that I had the financial stability for my family, because we were a dual income family, and we need two incomes. And so that was important. And once I got my footing and a plan around financially how we were going to handle something, which was going to my network, honestly, that's how I did and continue to get business on a regular basis, is through the people that I've worked with in the past and that know me well. So yeah, it's been, I don't know if I told you that flavor of the story before, but
No, I love
mean,
it.
it really was a combination of, I made a thoughtful, planful jump the first time and did research and talked to other people who had been out there, like we all now, asking them what they did. And then the second time it was, well, maybe I should do this again, and I'm not sure. And it was kind of a hot mess, but it turned out really well. So
You're here to tell the story. That's perfect.
if anyone wants to hear the details of the hot mess story, feel free to contact me, because that's where the real learning happens.
Kelli, so curious from two lenses for you too. So the idea of one, your jump, right? Like the big decision around your jump. And was there any sort of resource or guide that you had in terms of when you made that decision a couple years ago to fully go independent?
I would say guide. It was, I had a coach at the time because the backstory is I helped prep a past company for sale. And so after we sold, it was, what do I want to do? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to go? Do I want to do something on my own? Do I want to find something else? And she had just said to me, you can always go back to corporate America. You can always find a job. Like, and I mean, saying that in this world, like, I'm assuming everybody on here is a go-getter, type A, you will find a job. It's just leaning into your network. And that's what I did. And people that I would just have super casual conversations with, they're like, oh, I know such and such who needs what you want to do. It might be for a tiny project, might be for a big project. I don't know. Let me call them. Let me connect you. So it's like just having that confidence, because when you start the solo journey, you think about, oh my gosh, business development. Wow, that's a lot. Don't think of it as business development like scary. Think of it as casual conversations that will most likely turn into something because you're with somebody who really wants to help you. I feel like everybody wants to help everybody else. And if they know and you can articulate what you do, not generic, not an elevator pitch, like truly, genuinely, this is what I'm really, really good at, people will be more than willing to share their network and help you. And so it is scary when you're like, wait a second, it's me, myself, and I've got to figure this out financially. I've got to figure this out, all of the things. It's not for the weak of heart. And I can say with Suzanne, like, I am a risk taker, but not as like risk taking as my husband, who's like, yep, go do it, whatever, we'll figure it out. And I'm like, what? Okay, I will figure it out. And it's like I gave myself kind of a timeline. If it doesn't happen by a certain date, or if I'm not at a place where I want, then I will start to take a look and go back to like a full-time role. Well, it kind of took off from there and I haven't looked back. I have more business than I know what to do with, more people coming to me. So it's trying to make those connections as well when I find the people that do what I do, and to be able to say, you need to talk to my friend XYZ. I just met them. They're lovely. I just did that the other day for somebody. So you never know who you're talking to at the coffee shop, at a formal network event, at your kids', hockey game. It doesn't just tell people what you're doing and they want to help.
Yeah. Brian, I love that. And I think, you're as somebody I've known for the 2 years that you've been doing it, right? I feel like it's probably right around the time you and I got connected. The concept of a network is something that I feel like I continuously watch and applaud you for. So I think that nurturing of a network is two pieces of the puzzle, right? There's the idea of, yes, being confident enough to ask for it, but there's the other part of it that's just the concept of nurturing a network in general, right? Knowing who your people are, who should you bring in, who are the conversations you should be engaging with, which conversations should you prioritize and which ones do you less prioritize, right? Like those things are all part of that conversation, and you've always been really good at it. So I commend you for that piece of it. Brian, I'm going to look to you from two lenses here. So one, the mailman and the mail in the room, right? The idea of the idea of the thrill seeker piece of it, and knowing that you two are part of a pair, both in terms of business as well as in your marriage life. But I'm curious to know from your jumping off point, but also in the vein of you sitting around others that are having that jumping off point, what are you seeing any trends or themes in terms of what is that catalyst point that people start to go, I think now is the time for me to make that jump? Or is it a push? Are you more often seeing it come through the push lens, or are you more often seeing it through a more prescriptive decision-making lens? Does that make any sense? I feel like I just said a lot of words.
You did, and it made sense, so we're good. Before I jump into your question, I want to piggyback on the network point. Even if you're still just solo curious, you could start that today. And don't wait to start that after you've taken a leap or decided to do something, because that network will reap dividends to you even if you never go solo. It's great to have people in your world. And I spent 30 years in corporate and didn't do enough of that. And I think a lot of us in corporate are busy and we don't take the time. And so that's one thing to just put on your to-do list now, is reach out and meet somebody and keep doing it again and again and again. Start with me if you want. I'm happy to chat and get to know you and see what I can do to support you. But don't wait on the networking piece. Now, to Erin's question on the impetus to take the leap, I can kind of be a little self-centered and talk about what it was for me, because I think there's a little bit of everything. And what drove me to do this is, after a long time in corporate, I was kind of tired and looking to shake things up a bit. So I stepped back and went and got a master's degree in conflict resolution, because I wanted to be a mediator. And I wanted specifically to apply those skills to the business world, where workplace conflict is largely unaddressed. And I wasn't finding anywhere that it was happening. So for me, it was a little bit of selfishness. I want to do this work, and there's not really a role for me in the corporate world to do that. And there was an unmet need out there. So I kind of saw both come together and hopefully create a space where I could operate and do some good work that I wanted to do. And I think that's what I hear most often is there's one of two things that give people the drive to do this. Either there's something they want to do and they're not able to do it in their role in the corporate world, or they are looking to build an infrastructure that they're in charge of, so that they're not at the whims of a corporation who can choose to do what they want to do whenever they want to do it. And those decisions aren't, they say they're not personal, right? They're business decisions, but they're deeply personal when you're the one that's getting the bad news. So in order to insulate yourself from that, you have the ability to build kind of a walled garden of sorts and take care of yourself. But as Kelli said, it's not for the faint of heart. It's hard. And it's also extraordinarily rewarding. So I think that the wins can outpace that fear, as long as you stay grounded and rational. And why you take that leap is a really personal decision, but probably one that is fairly easy if you sit down and really think about it clearly.
All right, we're going to explore more of the scary thing here next, because I want to make sure we sort of dive into that part of it more so, because I think we've highlighted a couple of the things, right? The financial being one of them, business development being one of them, the independence component alone is one of them. And I think you guys have already kicked off on a bunch of those already well. So we're to get the room back engaged, as we saw, many of you are in fact solo curious. So in a word, so using the chat feature, what is part of being independent or solo that for you feels the scariest, or feels the worst, the thing that that either you avoid or you don't like, or that sort of holds you back from making that decision? I'm going to go first, because I am not the solo in the room, but I am always very solo curious. I feel beyond inspired by hearing the stories of the likes of the three of you, as well as in the being around so many through Radiate People. And I think for me, it is, as much as I know, business development is my jam. I'm good at that part of it. Mine is the confidence in expertise, is the thing that feels scariest, is that piece of feeling like I'm now going out and doing something that I am supposed to be some element of an authority figure on, or subject matter expert on. That's to me the one thing that feels scary. And for those of you that are not chatting, start chatting, because that's what I sell this on, is how active the chat is. So the rest of you, I want to sort of get an idea as to what else do you find to be scary. Thank you, Angie. I knew I could kick it off with one of you. Inconsistent income. Yeah, go ahead.
As people are, to give them a few more minutes to have some things come in, can I say something to what you just said? Because I wrote this note down after Kelli spoke. On the confidence piece, I had a mentor when I started out the first time on this very topic. We were talking about how do I go out and sell myself when there's a sea of people doing the work that I do. And he said to me, There's always going to be others that do what you do, but not how you do it, because you are the only one that can do it how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that applies to every profession, every technical area of expertise. So that in and of itself, who you are as a unique person should give you the confidence to go out and say, yeah, I can do this, and so can other people, but no one else is going to do it like me. And that really still rings true today when my confidence is low, because it still goes there. I mean, all you got to do is spend 10 minutes on LinkedIn, and then you've compared yourself to every other person out there doing the same stuff you're doing, and then turn it off because you're the only one that's going to do it like you are.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on that, Erin?
I love it. Yeah, no, go.
Yeah, I think you know, another framing for what Suzanne said that I use, and it's not necessarily anything I'd articulate when I walk into a room at a customer or a prospect, but there is something you do, speaking to the group, there's something you do where when the need matches that thing, you can walk in knowing like, my goodness, are you lucky I walked in today? That I am exactly who you needed to see for this thing that's going on in your business. That thing exists, and trying to think of it in those terms will help you zero in on that thing that you can bring to that business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't overthink it. Don't try and sell like everything and come with a pitch deck and a whole thing. Like I wrote an entire slide deck because I needed to get it out of my head. Like, what do I want to offer? What do my offerings look like? What am I actually selling? One, you're selling yourself. So use your personality, make sure that shows. But two, decide what you hated doing before and make sure you never do that again.
Yes to that.
Unless you like QuickBooks. I hate QuickBooks. So, and that's because that's where you're going to find your passion and people are going to see you for that. And even if you solve one problem, what is the one problem that you can solve for your target audience that you need to decide? What is your target audience? That's probably the biggest thing I would say in biz dev. What is your target audience? It could be an industry, it could be a person, could be a level, could be, but then expand like, and then what are the peripheries of that? Because that could be where the opportunity lies. So take a look at it holistically, because it's scary when you're like, oh, CEOs are my target. Like, well, sometimes, yeah, but sometimes it's their sidekicks who, you know, they're the ones that need the help that can benefit from your expertise at your level in your industry. So just think about the problems that you're solving and pitch it that way when you're chatting with people.
Yeah. I want to, I'm going to, Heidi, Kent Mac, your hand is raised. I'm a believer that if you want to turn yourself off mute, and it looks like you might have already, if you want to add, is there a question you want to ask?
Well, I was just going to let you know, Erin, that the chat is turned off for the meeting.
Oh.
So people,
no, it's being used. There's loads of chats. Yeah.
Oh, mine says it's turned off.
I don't know what that is.
I'm seeing a fair number of them, but I don't know if that's a authentication.
So weird. I've never had that happen before.
Okay.
Hi,
well,
Heidi. Thank you.
That's great.
Yeah,
I'm
having the exact same thing. It says chat is only available during the meeting. It's grayed out and does not work.
Oh,
I thought I had seen a note at one point that said I was added to a chat.
Weird.
Well, tell us what your fear is then.
Yeah, bring it then.
Raise your hand. We'll find you.
I wondered if I'm going to stop sharing the slides, if that made a difference. I don't know, but I am getting people responding through the chat. So we're going to keep rolling. But to Suzanne's point, if you have a comment or something you want to add, please raise your hand and we'll let you take yourself off mute. And thank you for letting us know. I will spend an excessive amount of time before the June one to make sure all of my settings are set up appropriately.
While folks get the gumption up to speak in real life, Sarah Kraft posted about validating whether her pace is normal, and I think I can share with everybody there's no normal.
No.
Your pace is yours. Your growth, it's going to come in fits and starts, and trying to measure yourself against some standardized grading system is going to be crazy making. Yeah. And so you just got to kind of take your foot off of that and let things come and do the work you think you need to do.
And to tag on to what Brian was just saying. I
think that's where we're going to go next anyway, is really let's start to demystify some of the myths of how people are feeling. I mean, let's validate. I think there's two pieces of this, right? I think everything I'm reading in the chat thus far that there's an element of validation, right? That I think that nothing I'm seeing right now feels unreal or unheard of in terms of making that decision to make the jump. So let's just demystify it, or maybe talk about how you guys get through it. So go ahead, Suzanne.
I forgot what I was going to say now. Brian, what did you just say?
I just talked about the fact that, against any measurable business performance piece, there's no normal, right?
Yeah.
Every business has their own criteria.
That's right. You were looking at Sarah's comment. So a real life example of how I did that the first time that I went out on my own. My husband, who spent his career in sales, hence why he's not risk averse, says, so what's your sales goal for this year? And I'm like, I know I need a sales goal, but I don't know how to set that. And he's like, take your salary and decrease it by 20%. I'm like, why 20%? He goes, because that sounded good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how are you so comfortable with this? And he's like, just pick a number. Pick a number that you think is a realistic measure of what you can achieve this year and that you could still live on. Also knowing I had a partner's income to rely on as well. So just start somewhere and pick a number and make that your sales goal and work toward it, and don't overthink it. Make it easy.
All right, so I want to start from the very top and sort of demystify some of these things that are scary. Inconsistent income, we've already got a couple likes on it. I think that's fair. And there's an element of what you just talked about, Suzanne, that I think that's a real thing. But yeah. Kelli, I know you talked about having a couple consistent clients, and in the beginning, you talked about small projects versus bigger projects. How, in your mind, did you sort of mentally do the gymnastics to get through inconsistent income?
Well, I too have a partner as well. So I'm very fortunate. He carries benefits and things like that. But it's not, I would say, not enough to support our family. So to get through it, sometimes you take projects that you don't want to, but you know that you can do them. It kind of goes back to decide what you don't want to do. But if something comes along and you're like, I really don't want to do this, I can do it. Do I want to do it? You should do it. Because what you're going to learn through that too is there's the good and the bad, and it's going to reinforce what you don't want to do. But if it's within your skill set and like, yes, I can do this for you, but it's not really what I want to be doing, don't turn it down. Don't turn it down, because one, it'll get you the income you need, but it'll also get you the experience, and it could expose you to a different topic, a different area, a different interest. It could lead to somewhere else with that same client or person that you're helping into what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So don't turn it down for the sake of, on the face value, it doesn't look good, unless you dig deeper and you're like, whoa, that really, really, really doesn't align with my skill set. However, I will tell you, some people will hire you because they like you, they like your background, and they like your determination, and you're willing to figure it out, and they will hire you because of that, even if you don't have in-depth expertise. Probably aren't going to do it for accounting, but for a lot of the other things, they're going to hire you for you, and because you've maybe done some of it around. So don't wave off those early projects while you're still figuring it out.
Okay. I mean, Brian, I'm going to applaud that answer. I think that's a really appropriate answer as well. So I appreciate that direction. Brian, I wanted the next couple are around the business development piece. And I know we've touched on it, the idea of networking being a piece of that. Brian, did you have any sort of method or approach to how you were going to do business development, both in the early days of the business as well as to where you're at today?
No. It's the piece of this that I was least experienced in when I started, and I'm still figuring it out as I go. So it's I guess to take this as a single data point that you don't have to have all that figured out. You just need to have a sense of what you do. I think the big realization in terms of business development that I had is that businesses pay for problems to be solved. They don't pay for your PowerPoint deck or your, the fact that you're fun to have a coffee with. Those things help close, but they pay to have problems solved. So if you can clearly articulate the problem you solve, the business is there. And so you just need to make sure that the right person hears that, because they want the problem solved. It's not I think Kelly's correct in that at the last mile, you need to be relatable and likable and somebody they want to work with. But to get to that last mile, they got to know that you understand the problem that they need solved. And once I got there, and I'll just take a quick aside, I wanted to focus on workplace conflict in Minnesota. So I was asking people in Minnesota to talk about conflict on a daily basis. It didn't work. And so I had to pivot that entire message. And I literally could do a find and replace on a lot of the collateral I wrote, and I replaced conflict with alignment, and doors started opening. So don't be afraid to pivot your messaging and how you're approaching people about what you do and the problem you solve, and get the language and the conceptual relatability of what you're talking about to be something that they're comfortable hearing and acting on, because they're already in a place of vulnerability. And so you want to give them some support and some feeling that you're here to make it better. And I think that in terms of business development was a real unlock for me. It wasn't about the talent I had or the credentials or the experience. It was arriving ready to solve something in a collaborative, relatable way. It's not about CRMs and pipelines and things. Those are really important. But at the end of the day, people work with people.
Yeah. I love the Minnesota conflict, right? I mean, the idea of, like, in the vein of what Kelly said, the idea of knowing your audience and figuring out your unique differentiator, or at least who you are, what problem it is you're, and then going, I'm going to sell conflict to Minnesota, most passive aggressive state there is ever, and tell them, like, I mean, there's such a beauty in that story. I love that story, because I do think of the idea of knowing your point of view, but recognizing there are other ways to modify the message is such a beautiful and such an apropos story for those of us that all are here in Minnesota having that conversation. Suzanne, any sort of final thoughts on your business development journey?
I realized something when Brian was talking, that I too stepped into business development not really knowing how to do it or what to do. Some basic tools and some people to help, but there were moments, and this still happens today, where I'll have a client or a prospect say, when we're in the middle of what I consider a business development conversation, I'm trying to understand their problem. I've had clients say, you ask really good questions. And so then that's always the moment where I'm so deep in trying to understand what their problem is that my genuine curiosity is just simply coming out. They're having a people problem. I want to understand all the details. I want to help them get to the root cause. It's like I have my organizational analysis hat on, and we're going deep. And I'm not thinking about, how am I going to close this deal? How much am I going to charge for this? I'm just like, what is the problem? And so when I have that hat on and I'm asking good questions and I'm just being myself, I'm doing business development at my best.
Yeah.
And everyone can do that about their area of expertise. Thanks, Brian. Again, every time I talk with Brian, I have some other realization about life.
Well, and you ended on the right word, the idea of the word best. And it was like, well, I'm not going to let that go, because it's the perfect segue into the next question. So the next question we have for those of you, again, solo curious, solo committed, whatever you are, in a word of being solo, same sort of question, but the last part's different. What is the thing that seems the most interesting? What is the best part of being independent, or the thing that makes you the most excited or curious about that work life opportunity? And I'm gonna continue down my space of answering first, because I feel like that got everyone thinking and gave me just enough time for those of you to start pinging the chat as well. For me, the thing that seems the most interesting and best is the level of autonomy, right? Is the ability of being able to pick and choose once you get to the place where you can pick and choose. Like, Kelly, I appreciated the fact that you talked about take the meeting, take the work, get yourself the experience part of it. But I do think the autonomy that I experience, or that I watch you guys go through, of being able to say, this is the type of work that fills my cup, and getting to sort of continue down that path. But also being able to say, this isn't the type of work. And I'm going to break up or find a way to pivot off of that. It looks different in the corporate space than it does when you are in that independent world. Thank you all for chatting. I'm glad that my passive aggressiveness worked to my favor there. Jessica, I love that. Personal, meaningful purpose. When people are so grateful to hear your advice or suggestions. I mean, there's such a piece of that, Sarah, that is so real. Aligning your work with your passion, your values, your purpose. Brian, I want you to kick off with that, with the idea of knowing that you did have to do that pivot, right? That idea of the pivot conversation of going, I'm all in on this conflict thing. This is where I totally recognize there's opportunity. And then having to make that pivot to best still align with who you were. What was your best? What was something that you were excited about, both in terms of recognizing that you had to make that change in vernacular?
I think the best part of it, I mean, it's hard, right? There's a hard realization there that this thing you've been doing for a long time with all of you is not necessarily connecting, but also realizing that the problem still exists, and it's about connecting to the problem, not whether or not I could do the work. And I think that the best part of it is that I could pivot. In the corporate world, you're often in your lane and you're doing your thing, and you go to your 7 or 8 meetings a day, and you go home and you do it again tomorrow. And when you're independent, if work isn't going great, guess what? You get to change, you get to alter it, you get to steer it differently. And so the fact that I could pivot, in a word, is why this is so great, is I was able to change things in a positive way to get the outcome that I was going for.
Kelli, how about you? Kind of talk a little bit about what has been something that's felt good on this, the best part for you.
Running my own schedule to a certain degree. I mean, I have a lot of standing meetings with my clients throughout the week, but it's also, I will take them from, wherever I am with traveling and being able to say, yeah, I'm not going to be in the office. I'm going to be here versus, trying to separate myself from the employees and their requirements, but also leaning in on those days. But it's just trying to run my own schedule and just knowing that because you are fractional, you can push back. You can say, nope, I'm going to be doing this, but here's when I will get it done, just setting clear boundaries with deliverables. And I try to make everything deliverables based. Like that's one of the biggest things I think on the solo too, is being deliverables based and not sticking to like an hourly rate. And that's just coming from my perspective on how I run things. So yeah, flexible schedule is the interesting and best part. But
All right.
also, let me say, flexible also means I was up working at 10:30 last night because I had to get stuff done for a client meeting this morning, but that's on me and my schedule because I did something else during the day, right? So
Yeah.
your days will look different and you just have to figure it out.
Flex doesn't mean less. It just means flex, right? Like
It
that's
just means flexible.
It just means flex. Yeah.
Yep.
Suzanne, how about you? What would you sort of define, or sort of as you look back over the couple of times in your journey, what has been some of the things that have stood out?
I have always said that I started out to work for myself because I needed a balance in my life of being what we call in our family work mom and home mom. And now that my girls are teenagers, with my oldest graduating here in a few weeks, it is the best balance we could possibly imagine right now. So flexibility, I think everyone who looks this way goes, yeah, I really want to be in control of if I work at 10:30 at night for myself or for someone else. But what has really been wonderful to see happen over the years is, and this is what gives me the most joy now, is when a client contacts me and says, I just want you to know that in this meeting we had, the program you developed for us was highlighted and showcased, and our team is getting so much positive feedback and kudos for delivering this. And so doing the work behind the scenes to then make my client successful and show up in their organization well. Like I remember sitting in their seat when I was in-house, and to get that kind of recognition and acknowledgement for the work that you're doing and knowing that I contributed to it, that's fantastic. I love making my clients look good.
That's awesome. All right. So as our delightful little cliff jumper has now found rock path, that comes with a full backpack. That backpack was on purpose. I recognize that as much as you might be alone on the journey, that there are tools and tricks and tips and stuff that you have learned along the way as well. And so I want to just sort of lean into as the idea of what's gotten you here, what continues to sort of keep you on this journey, are some of those tools, tips, and tricks. So, Brian, why don't you kick off? Are there any sort of tools that you maybe whether it's the investment of technology or a platform or a system or a team, if there's something that you use in terms of that keeping you on the journey, what does that look like today? They stump you?
No, I'm just trying to think of what, I mean, there's tools like technology tools. Like I'd recommend everybody sets up, an email and a document workspace, whether you use Microsoft or Google or something. You'll come across far more together and polished to have, a proper email address rather than a Gmail address, and you have a place to store all your documents and things. Just make that easier. Those are solved problems. So set it up. It takes an hour or so and get that done. And then also, I mean, financially, at least have somebody you can call to understand the financial ramifications of your decisions in terms of the business, and keep the finances separate. That's been a huge piece, is making sure that is separate from life, so that I can make good decisions in support of the business and not tangle them up with the decisions that I make at home, and having the right people to call to advise. Because you are the CEO of this business, but it doesn't mean you're the everything of this business. You're going to need a team to support you in your journey. And so those people are really important, and they don't have to be day-to-day players, but they have to be people that you can trust and count on when you need them.
I love that. Suzanne, what would you add, or what would be some of the tools that you used or that you would encourage people consider from the front end of as they're starting that journey?
I'm a pretty simple person, Erin. I think you know that about me. You've seen me swing a golf club, so you know that I'm pretty simple. I love my Microsoft tools. So while I'm all in on technology, I don't have a lot of things from a tech standpoint that are up to date. So maybe not the best advisor there. But what Brian was saying about that circle of business advisors, you need an insurance person, you need a financial advisor, you need a banker, you need an attorney. And these are just people that you need so you can call when you need them. You need to be an LLC. You need to have your finances separate. And you need to have business advisors that are in your content area. So I have other professionals that have done this 10, 15 years longer than me, that are my mentors to some extent, that know the work that I do. And I also have those same mentors that are in business for 10, 15 years longer, that don't do the work that I do, that are in a completely different space, because the opinions and the advice that you get from both of those people are very different. So tools, and I guess in a short answer, are people to me. I mean, it's all about relationships and people. I'm not out there looking for the next CRM I should implement. I'm a one person. If I can't use my Outlook contacts to keep track of all the people I meet, then there's something wrong with me. So people, that's my advice on.
No, and I think that's good advice, right? I mean, you just sort of gave a beautiful checklist of people to have on their speed dial, right? I mean, and I think establishing relationships that are, one, you feel trust, that you feel like they see you, they understand your business. I think that's a piece of it, of not having a financial advisor that doesn't work with solopreneurs. That's probably an element of making sure that they understand your business setup is important. But knowing that they're not probably going to be people you call every day, or maybe not even every month, but that there are people that at a point in time that you can quickly pivot and get some sound advice to sort of keep you on the path, which makes a ton of sense. And I think those are, as I look back to what we did with the Solo Journey event, that was part of it, is we recognize that, call them your Sherpa if we're going to continue down my beautiful mountain climbing analogy here, but those Sherpas are needed, and you're going to need them at different points in the time. And the meantime, you're going to get yourself up that mountain on your own, but those Sherpas will guide and advise as to which direction is the right footing for you along the way. Kelli, from your lens, is there any sort of again, we'll just same question, tools that you're using or things that have kept you on your journey?
Yeah, definitely. One, you need a separate business banking account. I can't say that loud enough. Do not deposit money into your personal account. Please set up a business banking account. It is very important that you keep your money very separate. And your CPA, find a CPA that is small. Find one that helps entrepreneurs. They will help you extremely when it comes to taxes and how you do all that and get you set up and really handhold you. Some of the big CPAs, love them for my business at my companies I help. But for me, I want someone, I'm going to ask you the dumbest questions, what I think are, and I want you to sit with me and tell me and explain exactly. If you don't know where to start, like Suzanne mentioned, like the LLC, LegalZoom is a really good place to start. From LegalZoom, you can get a website. They will file your LLC. They will do all the paperwork. From there, you can there's some legal things. There's some also fractional legal services as well. If anybody knows, I'm going to shout out to Tim Voigt. In that perspective, LegalZoom can help you get the website with domain registry, and it's very, very, very affordable. Like I'm talking a couple $100, not thousands of dollars, a couple $100. So that's a great first place to start. You don't really need QuickBooks for expenses to start with. I started with an Excel spreadsheet until I had too many of them. But I also got a credit card that I only use for business. That's it. And it makes it so easy for my CPA. And then to the CRM thing, do not buy a CRM. You can use LinkedIn. Use your messages in LinkedIn. Use your notes in LinkedIn. Use a spreadsheet. Do not try and be super fancy. You don't need all these tools to start. The tools will come if you're organized. And I will tell you, Chat or Claude, the AI tools, if you have a spreadsheet and then you need to put it in some other format, just tell it to do that and tell it how you need it. Literally, like that's what I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to buy like the CRM and I need to be very fancy about the stuff. And no, just when you meet people on LinkedIn, like in the notes and the messages or there's places by their name, just use that to start as you're getting started.
And on the LLC, you can go straight out to the Minnesota state website, set up your LLC for minimal amount of money, and you renew it every year. They send you a reminder. It's free to renew it every year. So you just do that. It's simple.
You can do that. Your CPA can do it for you, but they're going to charge you like $250. LegalZoom can do it for you. And then it's all encompassing. There's multiple ways to do it. So you have any questions on getting started, but that LLC, please start the LLC in a separate bank account and start it before you're ready is the biggest thing.
I love
You just have it sitting out there.
Well, and I like the idea of something that feels tactical, right? An easy created to-do list to get started is such a great starting point. So thanks. This is wonderful. I want to make sure that, again, I'm not seeing any questions coming through or people turning their mics off. But if you guys have, I love this. Thank you, Angie. But if you have other questions, keep them coming. But again, first question right out the gate, and we didn't really talk about it, but the idea of branding or website thought as I look at Miss Suzanne in her branded t-shirt or polo today, curious to know what you guys on the marketing side of it. We talked business development. The question around, do you need a website is another piece. And I know Kelli says she doesn't have one. Curious what your guys' thoughts are on the other side of the of a branding marketing piece.
I like a website. I like to be able to send my clients to a place that talks about what I do in more depth and broader than what I can say on LinkedIn. But I also came up in the era where that was used more than LinkedIn. So I started a website before we used LinkedIn as much as we do now. So now I'd say I use both equally. I keep my website updated, and where I update it the most is to show the associate network that I have. So while I'm a solopreneur, one person, always going to be one person, I have a team of other Abeo associates who work alongside me when I need them to. So it expands my breadth across the HR spectrum in technical areas that I personally can't work in. And they're all LLC independents like me. So when I need them, I bring them in, I showcase their work, I link to them on my website. It's a good place to house more information than I think you can put on LinkedIn. I use GoDaddy's platform. I've designed the entire website and did it myself. So if you go out and look at it, that's me. I'm not a web developer. It's super easy to do. It takes time, but I mean, it was worth it. I hired a content writer to help me polish and make sure it was written well, because, you know, you've heard me speak today. It's questionable, my grammar skills. So I hired somebody to do that. I pay for my GoDaddy website. My email runs through it. It's branded. It's maybe a $300 price tag annually. It's worth it. Worth it.
Brian, how about you from a marketing?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different take in that I think our website has not brought us any business cold at all. So nobody found our website through Google and was like, oh, I want to work with them. Yeah, every bit, and I'll get to this in a minute, but what the website does for us is it provides an external validation. So if somebody hears about us through a connection or a referral, they can go there and see like, oh, these people are real. That's a business. They do these things. And it has all of our social proof on it. So it has reviews and feedback we've gotten from customers saying, hey, I worked with Brian on this. It went phenomenal. I recommend you doing that. Those kinds of things are really important for people to be able to see. And so I think the website has an enormous amount of value. There are tools out there, like we host our website on a place called Card, C-A-R-R-D. It's $19 a year for 10 websites. Like, it's just not, the cost isn't an issue. It's a visual designer. So like Suzanne did with GoDaddy, you build what you see, and it's really, really easy and straightforward to put something up that just is that message that stands there, so that if you get lucky, you find it through Google. If not, people can go there and find you. And you're going to buy the domain anyway, because you probably want the email address to not be generic.
Yep.
So why not throw something out there if it takes, you know, an afternoon of work? As I think it's just an important validating tool. I do not use it to pull in new business, but I like that it's there to support my business.
I love that. Thank you for the question, Ange. All right. Well, we are getting to the end of the hour, and I cannot thank the three of you enough for giving me another hour of your time. Your stories continue to inspire not just me, but I know that the audience that we've had both at the event in February as well as today. I think this lovely balancing act of the tactical to-dos with the emotional reality of being solo is evident. And I think that there's both good, bad, and ugly, as well as there's moments of elation and moments of pivot. And I think that this is exactly the space. And so, Stacey, I'll make sure I'll get you the link to that card concept that Brian said in the follow-up as well, or he'll just put it in the chat. Mark your calendars. So next month, we are staying down a space, and we're bringing. We talked to Brian. This is my catalyst from what Brian just said, in the vein of external validation and proof. Lakeside's bringing my client on for next month for the June 16th Lakeside chat. Dory Seeger is the CFO for Yale Mechanical. And we have found that it's been a beautiful client relationship. We've worked with them a little over a year. Amy Toppin, our service delivery director, has worked really closely, both from an HR lens, but now is in a space where we've recruited our replacement. And so it's a beautiful story of how Lakeside supported both sides of a business in a space where having HR didn't feel like something they needed initially. And so we're going to talk about engaging outside HR support and really talking about a client's study that we've done specifically with Yale Mechanical, and excited to have y'all back. I'll also tell you that at the end of, I'm in the final stages of formalizing our Lakeside Live event. More than likely it'll be Tuesday, July 21st. Date or the time and location TBD. But again, watch for that invite to come through, because we want to get as many of our virtual friends in a live setting over the summer with hopefully a beautiful water-based backdrop. So excited to have you guys there for that as well. And with that, 10 o'clock on the head, y'all. We did it. Happy Tuesday. Happy, hopefully what will turn into a beautiful, more beautiful spring. Thank you, Kelli. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Brian, so much for being here. I always enjoy getting a chance to talk to you guys and learn always something from it. For those of you that are on, I'll make sure the follow-up gets out as soon as we get the recording loaded to the website. And with that, have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, you
Thank you
too.
all so much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Erin.